Hey everyone, it's Alyssa here. I want to talk to you today about this concept called the gap and the gain. The gap and the gain. Okay, so this is for anyone who has goals that is measuring themselves against their future ideal, but this is most importantly and specifically for my people who I know are highly creative, multi-passionate women that are working on creative endeavors, that are working to become more visible and to really own their star power and frequency. And I know this from my experience and from talking with other women and working with other women that this can happen, this phenomena. So I want to explore this briefly with you today because I think it'll give you a lot of powerful insight and something tangible to take away and work with. Okay, so there's this book called The Gap and the Gain, and I actually have it right here. I checked it out from the library. So there's this concept that when we are working towards something, we have a tendency to measure ourselves from the gap. And the gap means that we're measuring ourselves against what our future ideal is. So conversely, if we choose to measure ourselves against our progress from the time that we started to work towards a goal and then sort of looked at how far we've come versus where we think we need to be, that if we did this simple shift in perspective, this choosing this new way of thinking by measuring ourselves within the gain versus the gap, that we would give ourselves such a powerful momentum that way. Okay, so this is about like creating a new habitual, positive, generative mindset where you are witnessing your progress, you're acknowledging who you are being, what you are doing that is moving you in the direction of your goals. Okay, so the gap is something that's called a hedonic adaptation in psychological terms, and that just means that humans tend to measure ourselves on, like, we quickly adapt and then we're like on to the next thing. So say we had this like job that we really wanted, we achieved that, and then now we're like, okay, what's next? That's not such a great example, but I mean, it is. It's like a very common one, but more specifically, like say you were wanting to complete a painting and you finally got that painting done. And instead of being like, fuck yes, I did it, like look at what I've done, and standing in awe of this beautiful creation that you've put hours and hours and hours into, and like having a little like party and celebration, you were like, you immediately look over to the next blank canvas and they're like, okay, now I gotta start this one. It's like we do that to ourselves, right? And it's wired into us as humans. So it's that the hedonic adaptation is this tendency to quickly adapt, and once we acquire something, it's like we're on to the next thing. It's this moving horizon. It's like we can never be happy that way, right? Because it's like like our satisfaction, our true satisfaction is not coming from within. It's coming from like this external thing that's never ending, right? Okay, versus the gain, where you're psychologically bulletproof once you have a solid implementation of measuring yourself against your gains. Like, doesn't that sound like something you want? I know I do. That's what I'm working on. So whatever occurs, it's a gain. Every failure is a fucking gain. Hello, you just tried something and you got experience and you've got feedback now, and you're one step closer to your goal when you fail. Like that's a gain. So everything can be redefined. Everything can be shifted to be perceived as a gain, no matter what it is, okay? And personally, I'm pretty advanced in this, although we have as humans, like we have our ups and downs, right? So like I definitely have my slumps in my ability to practice gains, and that's why I hire a mentor or I hire a coach or I work with people to help to support me, to help me to remember, to help me to come back on track and come, and do that. And that's why I work with other women in doing this thing, right? Because we all need each other and we all can greatly benefit from that. So with that being said, my life has been like this sort of practice of learning to be in the gain, of this ability to take really shitty situations and transmute them into something really fucking beautiful. And one way that I've done that personally is through writing songs and writing music. So I just wanted to throw that in there because that's like an example and a personal example of the way that things can practically be turned into gains, right? It's like your boyfriend breaks up with you, write some songs, gain, like, it can be, just that's just another example. So, and one other example that I'd like to give you is like, say you have a song that you wrote, you have a piece of art that you've created and you're like in the gap, you're saying like, hey, I still haven't shared this song, I've got this song and, or this, creation, I haven't shared it. And you're like in that, well, what about if you positioned yourself from the game perspective and said, I wrote an amazing song. I have recorded this song. Everything that goes into all of that you've already achieved is amazing. And what if you were like, and with this song, with this piece of art, I've shared it with friends and family who have given me rave reviews. So it's not like you have done nothing simply because you haven't done one thing, right? It's like you have made so much progress. You have created and created and created and went through the songwriting process and went through refining that song, went through the recording process, and you've even started to share it with people in your close circle. And why the fuck are you saying and berating yourself that you have not shared it with the world yet? It will fucking happen if you do not give up, right? So, I know that the people that I work with are highly creative, highly sensitive, artistic, multi-passionate women, that you have this vision and this big goal to be more visible, to be completing more of your creations and to really own the spotlight. And I think a lot of us will measure ourselves in this gap. And that's why I felt like it was so important to speak to. And just, I see in the women that I'm speaking to too, that like there's this sense of guilt, there's this sense of approval seeking that can hold us back in really achieving that vision. And so I encourage you today to leave a comment below of what is one gain that you can share with us from the past week, just to like start this little perspective shift that will, if you continue to do it and continue to measure yourself in the gain, will be life-changing if you make this into a practice and make it into a habit. So I'd love to hear your comment below. What is your gain? And if you want to go even further, start doing this for yourself every single day. Make it a practice. And if what I'm sharing with you really resonates and you're feeling this energy, you're feeling my energy, I have a complimentary session that's called Safe in the Spotlight, and it's for highly creative, multi-passionate women that are ready to own their star power frequency. And I will have access to how you can book that session with me, either in a link below, or those links to book a session with me are in my bios. All right, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to hear from you, and let's get in the gain. Love you.